All right, so once again, good morning, everyone. My name is Ayo Adeyemi, and I will be discussing with us on the topic understanding recruitment dynamics. That's what we'll be discussing today, and I'm doing this for two reasons, which I will also share with us right now. Let me ask if everyone of us can see me, my video. If you can't, please let me know in the chat room. I'm doing this for two reasons, like I did mention. And number one reason is because it's our industry, or it's one of the things we're doing here in our organization. I work for Lorach Consulting as a team lead, and I've been in recruitment for close to about 20 years. And I've seen all sorts of challenges, and I must say that recruitment actually can be interesting, can be frustrating, and can be very, very tough. You win some kind of enjoyment and excitement is not until when you are able to conclude the process. But usually, you have a lot of difficulties, down moments, or disappointment, so to say, when you have to do recruitment and you feel like they don't like your organization somehow. So, but I must say to us that I've seen people doing this for the entire their career lifespan. People have done this and made millions of naira, and the truth is that we are doing too. We are making money from it, and sometimes it appears to be the lowest level in HR career or categorization or whatever. Sometimes it appears to be one of the entry point into HR, and sometimes it appears or it looks like it's one of those arms of HR that in some organization you are pushed to, and it looks like they don't like you, or they just want to frustrate you. But I must say to us that as we have, should I say, branches in HR, human resource practice, or career, so recruitment and placement, or recruitment and selection, like some people will say it, is one of those strategic unit or career path in HR actually. And with what I want to discuss with you today, I just want to make it a bit easy for some of us. I want to encourage a number of us, and I want you to know that yes, it could be tough, but also there are some things that you might need to inject on how you do it, on how you've been doing it, or how you will continue to do it. And then you can create some excitement around yourself or around the job, and make it a bit fun, pleasant for yourself. And those are some of the things we want to look at and want to discuss today. So, I want you to know that, like I said, okay, sorry, I was saying about two things. Now, so like I said, this is what we do, and just want to help some few people, like I said, to get some little clarity and be able to make more headway. And the second reason for me is because I'm also looking out to giving one or two people opportunity of partnering with us, if you want to say work with us or something close to that. All right, so I've said this earlier, and but essentially for those that just want to start a kind of a career either in HR or through recruitment. Okay, so I'll be looking out for one or two, three people that probably will be able to sign on and see whether we could do some stuff together in this line of business, recruitment as it were. So, just for those that probably completely new, or I won't say strange, to recruitment as it were, I will just give you some little insight, or so to say definition of what recruitment is all about, and then we'll take it up from there. Okay, so I may not share my slide now, I need to be deliberate, but I can assure you that if you are registered, you will get my slide later on. So don't worry about slides. I did mention earlier that it's going to be a conversation, so it's going to be an interactive session, and it's going to be very interesting. So some of the things I will be discussing, we focus on the recruitment, meaning of recruitment and steps in the recruitment process, some recruitment strategy, and some tools that you can also leverage on to get your recruitment done. Really, the discussion is majorly for all category of people that has to do with that have interest in recruitment anyway. So either as a consultant or as an employee, that is involved in this on a daily basis. So we look at that together, and then we can get going. Now, but let me say this ahead that look, some of the things I'm going to share are things we use or we practicalize. And somebody was saying to me, "Oh, you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? Isn't this going to be trade secret? Isn't this one of the reasons why you're in business?" But my philosophy has always been the fact that I tell you or I'm able to share with you what I do and how I do it. It doesn't, for me, diminish the fact that I can still make money from it. I also believe that the more people know or have an idea of how they can go about it, the better for everyone to even get the best more out of the whole process. So for me, it is one of the way of giving back, helping other colleagues in similar field, and then also creating or closing the gap or challenges of or how you are able to solve some problem. I haven't been working on this, so don't worry. Even if that's to do with some of the things we do, and perhaps want to call it a trade secret, it doesn't mean that you're going to run us out of business. That I can assure you. All right. So what I just want us to know is that it's a form of an empowerment. Okay, and maybe tomorrow you'll be the one that will also give us the business. All right. So don't worry. Okay. So what then is recruitment? What then is recruitment? Basically, I'll just put it in few words that it is just the process that every organization has to go through to get the best fit for the specific role, position, or need of the organization in terms of manpower. All right. I'm trying to be very deliberate about the use of word. Okay. So when organization has a need of manpower, then they make their moves to recruit, and they are very deliberate and specific as to the need. For us as consultants, or as recruiters, recruitment is a service, it's a business for us. All right. So when we have to go through the process of recruiting, either for our client or even for ourselves, we see it as a very, very, very important process. Okay. So what I mean is that before you, I'm still doing some expansion recruitment anyway. Now, before you even go into that process, you are sure of your need, of what you want, the reason why you have that need, or the reason why you want to go through that process. Okay, so it is not usually a guesswork. It is not just an exercise in futility. So recruitment is a deliberate process that organizations embark on in search of specific best fit individuals, candidates, personnel, prospective employee, all right, to fit in to the areas that they have need, or they need that manpower, or they need that expertise. Okay, so now each time you have this assignment or this role, something must always be at the back of your mind, and it's the fact that why do we have to do this, or why am I mandated to do this, or why is my client requiring this? Now, when you have that at the back of your mind, what that tells you is that it helps you to understand the fact that you are not doing this because you just have an assignment or you just want to do this. You are doing this because you need to solve a problem. So for every time you have a brief to do this, you are trying to solve a problem. Now, you don't want to create a problem to solve a problem, which is not possible anyway, because a problem cannot solve a problem. Now, so you then need to understand that your client has this need, or your office, as it were, need this manpower to solve a problem. Okay, so you see, at that point, as a recruiter, essentially, it is not argumentative. It's not a situation or a function of being trying to argue whether we need or we don't need. You have the brief. Okay. Now, secondly, it is not your place to begin to try to adjust the brief so that it could be easy for you. You have a brief, you have an instruction, you have an information of what is needed and required. So what is expected of you thereby is to work according to that. So what am I saying? You need to understand what recruitment is, and once you clear that clarity, then you then be able to move ahead. So what I'm saying is that it is a process to discover the source of manpower. I mean, it's a process of searching for prospective employee, all right, to fill in a need or to solve a problem or fill a need as may be determined or defined by the organization. All right, so what are the essential things that it is required of you to do before you embark on recruitment exercise? I'll just mention a few things that I feel you need to get right, because again, you can't build nothing on nothing. You must be very sure of the information at your disposal. You know, we get it absolutely wrong trying to work from answer or from end to the beginning. In recruitment process, it's not like that. You can't work from the end. You have to start from the very beginning. All right, so the first thing, or some things that are very crucial, like I said, you need to get right. What are the things that are required pre-recruitment process? Okay, number one, like I did mention, is to get a clearly defined brief or instruction. And how do I mean? What is required, what is needed. So you need to get those details. Okay, and some of them come in form of what we call the job descriptions. All right, so you need to get clarity. Get me right. All right, you need to get the clarity. Okay, so it's important that you get that right and be sure of what you need to do. And so I will mention those things that are very essential. I guess you lost me there, but it's okay, we can continue. All right, so number one, get the right brief, the right information, enough information, accurate information, get clarity. Because sometimes when you commence the exercise, if there's no enough information and there's no clarity, the possibility is that your client or your superior or your manager will come back to you to say, oh, sorry, you didn't get it right. One of the frustrating things which we will touch on is in recruitment process is to have almost completed the cycle and for all, you get to know that you are actually working on the wrong brief. All right, so I will encourage as many of us that are already involved in recruitment or want to know about recruitment to always get enough information. So you could draw your own plan as to, okay, you have a need for what department, for what section, for what level, for what role, for what industry. All of those important factors or information are very essential. Okay, so up to the point of having to know the gender if necessary. Okay, forget about discrimination right now. You just need to get your information. It's not about being discriminative when you have to get whether it's gender or whether age. Okay, it is for the purpose of you not having to duplicate your work or being dragged back. So those information or essential information before you embark on recruitment are very crucial, and that's one of some of the things I've just mentioned. So draw up your JD, job description. We'll say this to our clients, we need it. You know, sometimes they don't give us. You know what we do? We develop the job description and send to them and get them to confirm, does this fit into what you are looking at? Because once you have the job description, your job is let me say to some extent about 25% done, because you already have something that describe and define the kind of person you are looking for. Now mark this, every word, every sentence on that job description define the person and matters, because sometimes we are quick to feel like, oh, some other things are just use of words or English, so they are not so important, but they are absolutely important. So you need to read them, and see, it's like you want to do a comprehension, so you need to read like 2-3 times to understand and digest what the information describes. Okay, so when you have that information about what the client or your manager or your organization require, it makes it easy for you to then roll into action. So as said, one of the things you need to first define and clarify are the essential information that will aid and speed up your exercise. Most times we get it wrong because we assume. We work based on assumption, and like you know, assumption is the lowest level of information. So when you don't want to work and waste your time, all right, so you need then to have enough information. Now this is it, sometimes you don't have enough information or you are not given actually. Okay, so you can help. In our case as a business organization, all right, what we do is try to help our clients. Okay, so in your case as an employee, you can do the same. All right, you can develop the JD based on the information or description at your disposal and say to your superior, can you please clarify if this fits into the role we need? And if it's other department, because for some of us that also probably work in a conglomerate or some other subsidiary organization, you can send to the office, say head office, and say, can you clarify? And see, the moment somebody is able to clarify or approve that, what that does for you, that it becomes your template, and then you can go forward and be able to work based on that. All right, so when you are rolling out information or probably going to work with that information, you have a very clear instruction or information to work with. So the foundation is very important. The beginning is very important. Okay? All right. Now, let me just make a few examples. As simple as it is, and somebody will just say to you, very, very simple and basic and look like one of the, lowest recruitment need. So you get a brief that we need a driver. And like, in your mind, you just feel like anybody that can drive is good. But there are things that are required. Now, who is the person going to drive? What role is the driver going to play? It's not just to move the vehicle or move or the automobile from one point to the other. There are things that the driver may like require to do. Would the driver be interfacing with people? Because sometimes, or some organization, or for some level, your driver must also be able to have good communication to some extent. All right, your driver should be able to fill the logbook. So it means you be able to write maybe basic writing. So you need to see, as simple as that is, there are things you need to define. Now, in terms of age, if it's too old, you might begin to wonder who is the person working with, the driver. If it's possible the driver is older than the officer that will be working with, it doesn't matter, but you then look at some other factors. Again, because once you know if the person that has the need in your organization or for the client is supposedly like around 35 years old, and you bring a driver of 60 years old, you already know that it's going to be like a daughter or a son to that person. Now, if that driver is not humble enough or not professional enough, that will continuously be clash. So when you're getting brief from your client or you are getting brief from your manager or your superior, you need those information. I just make that as an example. Now, when you go to the executive levels, when you get to recruit us, get manpower for executive level, you then need to understand what role. Sometimes, as employee organization, you need to find out the reason behind that recruitment. Sometimes you need to know whether it's a new position or it is filling an existing position. Okay, so if the company is doing this because of expansion for a new position, it means that there's nobody in that position or they don't have that portfolio before, then that's a different ball game. Now, if you are going to replace the person in that portfolio, it's another ball game. So all of these basics are very, very crucial. All right, so I want to be sure that we are still together. If you are still with me, just put yes in the chat room. All right, and I hope we are making sense. Don't worry, like I said, it's going to be an interactive session. I just want to lay some cards and then we can sail. All right, thank you. I can see you. Yes. Okay, so those are the things I've said. I can see you. As basic things we need to get right before we go into the recruitment process. So once you can have your figure, you can have your details, you can have your data, your brief comprehensive enough to function with, okay, then you are sure. Cordelia, I can see you. Tosin, I can see you. I just want you to know that I can see you. All right. Okay, so then what are the other things that are important, or what are things you need to also know and clarify? Now, if it is for your organization as an employee, you are trying to fill in some position, you need to have a clear description of your organization. There are some levels of manpower or candidate or prospective employee you want to attract. Something define reason why they should apply. Now, let me say this quickly. Like we have agreed in our organization, our client, we are consultancy firm. And so the client will service our client. Let me use that word. The organization we service are seen as our priority client. Okay, so for everyone that's looking for job, every candidate, let me use that are looking for job, they are also our client. Now, so we don't take you like because you need a job, you're looking for a job, you are just anyhow person. No, we seize you and we treat you as a client. Because why? If we are able to work with you as a client and you are fitting or you are good enough to meet our super client, then we make money. So there are information that you may require as our candidate client, using that word now, right, that will help you to prepare or package yourself or work well to fit into our super client. That is the organizational client now. All right, so we see that way. Now, for you in some organization, because I see something that I think I'm going to talk about maybe on my wall or my blog sometimes, that are very, very, very discouraging. Okay, so we feel everyone that needs a job, that looking for a job, we despise them and we make them look like they are some kind of useless or second class citizen or something. All right, that somebody need a job or somebody apply for a job does not make them useless or make them to be ridiculed. Okay, some are on the job, they are in between jobs, some for whatever reasons. But you have the need, because the moment that person get that job, you know what happen? The way you perceive or even receive or deal with them different. And for all you care, some of them get that job and they become your senior. And you know what happen? When they get on board, even though you are the one that manage all the process for them to get on board, they have that reservation that the way you treated them, they feel not too happy about it. So my encouragement therefore is that you need to be professional. Whether the person is even going to be your superior or work with you or not, or your junior, the important thing here is recruiters, we must be professional. We must, because the funny thing is that what goes round, like they say, what comes round or goes round comes round. The truth is that at some other point you are at their shoe. You also looking for job elsewhere, and then you come back to complain that I don't like the way I was treated. I don't like the way I was, they relate with me and nothing like that. But when you are in the one in your, on the other side of the divide, you also do some worse things. So what am I saying then is that you must be absolutely professional. Every level of engagement, you must try to be professional. From sourcing for their CV or resume to the point of conducting your interview, and probably to the point of the onboarding process. All right, you should be professional. Okay, you don't feel like too bossy. You don't feel like, look, we are the one here, and so you must just go through the pain. One of the things I hate and which we don't do here, and if for any reason you have that experience, we apologize. That people will come to your office for interview. That's even the next one I'm going to be talking about, something about interview maybe next month. But that you invite people because you are conducting recruitment process, and then you ask them to wait, and they wait for hours. We don't do that. So when we send candidate to our client office, we ensure we follow up to the client, and whoever is going to attend to them, we make sure that they are ready. And we have had reason to appeal to our candidate to say, you can go home. You have stayed too long. The fact that we need money, we want to be professional. So we make our client to know that, look, the fact that they need that job, you don't have to punish them. They have not committed any offense. So if you are not ready at your end, then don't make people come for an interview and you keep them at reception at the security post. So for us as recruiter, and I'm saying this because it is part of the reason sometimes we don't get enough people applying or wanting to come to our organization. And I can cite examples. We have that example with clients. All right. So, and you see, the truth is this: we have different levels of staff needs. All right. So even if the person is coming in as a cleaner, he's going to be an employee of the organization, and for all you care, he's going to be an ambassador, even though he's a cleaner. Because why? If that person commits any offensive situation and they find out that the ID card with that person reads your company's name, is going to be your company's name to be mentioned in the news. So when you treat them like they are second class or not so important person or individuals, then you get that same result. So what I'm saying to us, either you as an employee recruiting for your organization, or for those of you that are consultants, what you then need to do is to not to tidy up the process that will link or that will get the perhaps up to the interview level. Let me put it that way. So what am I saying? The only reason why we have a lot of fake recruitment agencies is because the way some of us recruiters have also handle our processes. So some of those fake recruitment agency or recruiters have seen the way we do it, lack of enough professionalism, and so they also take into it. How do you send out invite to prospective candidates without having to do three things? Okay. Now, okay. Yes, let me do this. I'll come back to what I actually want to discuss. Now, for instance, if you are able to get the right candidate, okay, three basic things you need to do. The first is, it depending on the source, anyway, you get the candidate from. But whatever source it is you have used or you have leveraged to get that candidate from, that must be documented conversation. So suppose, because okay, all right, I'll just try to go ahead and please. Because we have three basic, let me say, recruitment avenues. Okay, so we have the general one, which is let me put it in a way you could probably be able to understand. A general one in the sense that it's an open general public announcement, so everybody can apply. Okay, general recruitment platform, everybody can apply for that. Okay, and then what done by that, you broadcasted or you release the vacancies that are available, and so you approach the public and you ask for qualified candidates to apply. That is the first, that's one. The second one is what we call the headhunting. Okay, headhunting meaning that you go after specific individuals, candidates, based on your need. Okay, so you go after them, and then some people say I'll put together headhunting and poaching. Let me put together. Sometimes use of word, sometimes your approach to it. Now the last one will be referral. Referral. A lot of people don't use referral because we feel I don't know why, but I think it works. When you also work with referral to filling candidate, to filling the positions that you require, and it can even make life more interesting for you. Okay, so I was saying, depending on the platform or the approach you have used, I've mentioned 3 approaches. Number 1 is having to have the open announcement, open recruitment, open vacancy declaration, and the second one has to be headhunting or poaching. The third one is referral. Okay, now regardless of which of them you use, one of the things you must do is that there must be a documentation. So sometimes I will get to ask people to refer, and I will quickly explain each of those categories. So when you ask people to apply, when you roll out your vacancy to the general public and you want people to apply, so you have a dedicated email or you have your automation system that you use, that people use, to upload their CV or send their CV, and then you have your profiling and your sorting, your all kind of things you have to do to be able to select the best fit. Now, when you adopt this, what I say to people is that you have to batch them in 3 categories: the best fit, the near fit, and the possible fit. Now, these are 3 categories. The best fit seems to be the exact need or category of people you require. All right. The near fit seems to be people that still come with close, but they do not. Sometimes you say you need 8 years, and these people have 5 to 6 years, and they look like every other thing. They seems to be close to that. Now, the third level, which is the possible fit, are people that you feel, okay, for some other reasons you may have to. Now, let me say the reason why I batch them that way. Sometimes the clients want the best fit, but they are not willing to pay the best or the expected, but they can't meet up the budget. Now, for instance, you want to recruit for a manager for admin. Naturally, an average recruiter will be looking for someone that has hands-on experience, meaning that you'll be looking for a manager admin from that another manager admin. That's somebody that's manned that portfolio, exact portfolio before. Okay, what happened then is, one of the challenges you encounter is if your budget is about 500,000, for instance, and the person you are looking for who also have exact nomenclature, portfolio, or this same job is on 400,000. Now, that you may not be too sure that person wants to move to get 500,000 naira. You probably feel that person probably wants to move to get about 700,000 naira, and it's some level of maybe about 50% increment on current salary. So those are bad fits. But does your company or the client, can they meet or match up? So you have those someone in category A. Now the category B are people. Now you want a manager admin, but somebody is assistant manager admin somewhere else, or somebody is a senior executive admin somewhere else. Now, because for that person or for that category of person, if they qualify, all right, it will be easy for them to see that job opportunity as a promotion, and so as increment in their salary. So which I believe that category is more safer for you to work with so that you can get job closed on time. You are not compromising, Matthew. They also have the experience. Probably one or two factors from your definition of your JD does not seem to align. But most times, we want somebody that's also that manager admin to come on board for that portfolio manager admin. They don't see it as promotion. They don't see it as opportunity. The only difference here and factors which also work most time is this. If somebody is coming from an MSME organization and is coming into a conglomerate or multinational and is a manager admin in MSME organization, all right, it will look like a good move if the person is coming to a conglomerate or multinational or a more bigger or a more dynamic environment. Okay, so even if you are going to pay that sort of person same salary, the person may think for career reasons or career purpose, the person may still be okay with it to move. Okay, so some of these details are very, very important that we need to pay attention to when we are doing our recruitment processes. That is why I said at the beginning that you must get the basics information. The basic information, you must get them right. When you don't get them right, you're going to meet with that lot of bricks as you progress. And then you will have reason why you will go through recruitment process, and at the end of the day, your company will like the candidate and say, oh my, but for budget. And let me emphasize the budget. Each time our client gives us brief, we quickly ask them, let us know the budget. Because you can't just tell us you want RSM. You can't tell us you want a CEO, but you must have a budget. And we have had reason why some of them will tell us, don't worry, we are hoping it's negotiable. But I tell you that negotiable is not negotiable. And some will say to us, if you see a very good candidate, we can be sure that we can match up. But it's a lie. They won't. So most times, and you will have gone round that circle. For those of you that are employee organization, it's very easy for you to do that, all of that exercise. Your salary is your salary, your company still pay your salary. But for some of us that are consultant, you know what? When you have gone through that route, and at the end of the day, your client says to you, "Oh, we like those candidates, but they are not taking our budget." So our time is wasted, our resources wasted. We are not going to get paid. So each time we insist, give us your budget, not because we are just being too petty, but we just want to be sure that we can work to the answer. So somebody that is on salary of 200,000 will not be happy, will not be too comfortable with salary of 220,000. Sometimes, except they are out of job, that they will be okay to take 250. So you and I know that somebody on that level already will want to take something very more fantastic if he has to move, especially if the person has spent number of years. Okay, so let me also touch point on this. I say it boils down to what I call recruitment errors. Recruitment errors. Some of the things that happen that we make us have to repeat the process. Number one is the fact that when we compromise as recruiter in the process, we will obviously encounter some of those challenges. And what can account for some of those challenges because we compromise? Sometimes age. When you feel you can manage through, you can pass through, or you can move through, or you can get by the aspect of age, then you find out that the company will have a reason why they will tell you, look, we don't want people that just want to retire now. We want people that can still be able to work with the organization for a number of period of time. Okay, so age can be one of the reasons why we run into recruitment error. The other situation is also though the high level of change of job, attritions, or movement. Okay, somebody spent 1 year in a certain organization, and then he wants to change the job, and he has spent maybe 2 organizations consecutively. Then at the interview, they will obviously have a reason. They will tell you so many things. But that is a pointer to the fact that that person may not stay long with your organization. So when you get people like that, you have a challenge, and you must understand that it could be a recruitment error. All right, so I've mentioned that some of the recruitment errors can stem from the fact that we compromise as recruiters. We compromise with some certain aspect of our brief or of the requirement. Okay, so when we compromise, then ultimately the end result may not be too nice for us, because somehow it will come back to us at the end. Okay, so we don't have to compromise. We should just do what is required, what is needful, and I think that saves us a lot of stress. Number one, we don't compromise on any details, any aspect, but we can have batches, and I always encourage have batch 1, batch 2, batch 3 at least. Okay, so that saves you some stress. And then for as recruiters, consultants as well, or agency, we must ensure that we work based on the need of the client, not on our own speculation. It saves us stress if we work based on the need of the client, okay, which is very important to us. And then the other part of it is that we must ensure that the client or the candidate, as it were, understand the need. We make them or to know enough information. At some point, of course, you are not expected, it's not professional enough to disclose your client. And for you too as employee, I'm sure some point you may likely not disclose, except if it's not against your policy and it's okay to disclose the client. But if it is okay, it's okay. So that affords them. But what we do and what is important that you need to do, once they are to meet with your client, what is important you can do then is to educate them. Okay, ensure that they have information about the organization. I have seen situations where the candidates actually are qualified, but because they don't have information about the client, then they miss it. Now, let me say this. For those that are agency, of course, it's your responsibility to help them to understand the client. Don't say because you want them to, you want to prove their intelligence in terms of having to have done research. Okay, yes, it is expected for them to do research, but it's your place, and that is why you are a consultant or an agency, to also educate them or give them information about the client. Because ultimately, when they excel through that process, it makes lesser your pressure, lesser your job. For us as employee too, when you are able to give them enough information about the role, okay, it helps them to understand. Now, that does not mean you can't get the best or who is the best, or get to determine who do well or who is doing well among them. That does not reduce that fact. But what that does is that it helps you to even know who really can deliver on the job, because you have your yardsticks. Okay, all right. So what other things do we need to consider when we have to do recruitment? Let's look at the various platforms that we can use, tools that we can use or we can leverage on. Okay, so some of us, we have our website, and then some of us, we have some platform we have subscribed to. Okay, and then we have the social media platforms. Okay, and then one of the avenue or one of the tools or platform that's also very important that we can use is LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn is expected to, is a platform that you could really be able to have insight or information about one or two people or one individuals that you actually looking for. Okay, so what they need to do is to take your time to scrutinize and go through that process. Now, I said earlier, and I'm still talking about when you want to do the general open recruitment, general public open recruitment, you can leverage on all of this avenue. Now, let me quickly talk about headhunting and poaching. Now, headhunting and poaching is a more strategic way, and it's more either from middle level to the top level, most importantly. For lower level, depending on some organization, pardon me please, depending on some of the nature of the organizations, that you can go for headhunting or go for poaching. And what that approach is all about is to scout for similar industry, similar sector, similar organization that perhaps are doing similar thing to that of your client or your organization, and look at the research about the individual that are doing fantastically well, that you feel your company needs them to come and perform similar magic organization. And how do you approach them? Those are so many ways to approach them. Some of them, of course, you will see them on LinkedIn. Some of them, you really have to, I mean, I'm talking about if you have to get their information. Some of them, you have to search about them. Some of them, you have to use their colleagues to get in touch with them. Okay? And then, because they don't know you, all right? And then, because they probably will not be too available. Some of them are not looking for a job, so to say, or they are not desperately looking for a job. So when you approach them, you are going to be selling two things to them. You're going to be selling that particular organization or client to them. Then you also need to now sell the position to them. Because for them, the industry or the organization you are approaching them for matters more than even the salary. Because they are experienced people, they are not desperate people, they are open for change of job, but they are not desperately looking for a job. You know why? To some extent, some of them are comfortable where they are. And I've heard that from some candidates. They will tell you, you know what, I am good where I am. All right. So it is your job and responsibility to do some level of marketing of your client. All right, and do some persuasion in explaining the role. So that's why we call it headhunting, because you go for them individually, all right, and speak to them. It works for junior levels too, like I said, but because of the level of resources you are going to deploy to this, most time you use it for some of the senior levels. Okay, so you don't just some position you will throw it out for years. You throw it out, you won't get anybody. And because all kind of human being will apply. If you are not careful, the person that is just entry year one will apply. Imagine you throw out a position for a general manager with 15 years, and somebody that just getting 100 level admission is applying. And then before you know, you have about 20 of them. So if you're going to go through that series all through, you see that you waste of your time, and you are like, that's one of the things that brings frustration. You know, when you get to that level. So what am I saying there? What I'm saying is, you go for specific individuals. First of all, define the role. Secondly, define the industry, the sector, the similar organization or competing brands. Okay, define them. All right, before you then go and launch out for the poaching or headhunting. Now, the last one, which I call referral, is similar to that. Of course, this one is from the third party angle. So you need somebody for certain role. You now approach somebody. Sometimes, all right, you see individual. You need certain roles, and you see somebody that qualify. But you and I know that they may not be interested. So you talk to those persons that I know you may likely not be interested. But can you refer somebody, refer people that you also know within your circle, within your industry? Or let me just break the ice. Like somebody say, the truth has been broken. You go through some professional organizations and you ask them to recommend and refer. Now, if you're looking for somebody that some category of people in marketing, sales, you could go to National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria and talk to them. Can you refer some of your good hands from your membership? ICANN, you can go to ICANN. CIPM, you can go to CIPM. All right, and say, can you refer? All right, and you'll be surprised that they have database of people in different categories, and they can refer to you, because they will even do that for you, because it's their members, and they believe that when their member progresses, okay, so they can also be able to give back to the organization. So those are some of the platforms. You can even ask for people to refer, okay, or some other organization or groups of people or professional platforms. They can refer people to you, and that makes your recruitment process, easier. Okay, so lastly, okay, I just want to encourage some of us that that deals more. Like I talked about earlier. I said earlier that some level of frustration. How do you manage frustration as recruiters? Especially when we get to the point of mental health. Because I've seen people, they've gotten bashes, they've gotten bashing. They've gotten a lot of memo, query, and a lot of backlash from their superior, from organization. Some people have lost their job because they could not close roles on time. I must say to you, as a consultant, as an agency, we get such too. Okay, but what we don't always want to get is to get blacklisted. That's the worst of it. We almost got one, but I have to step in as the head of the team and I have to work around the clock. So we don't take it as just one of those things when you say to us, you need certain roles and we feel like because we have a number of clients and we are busy, of course we have to be busy. We won't take it with levity to now assume that, okay, we will come back to you anytime we are okay or we think we are ready for you. We take it with all seriousness because we also know that those things are very important. And for you to have given us such brief an assignment, we know how important they are to you. Of course, here I can tell you that there are clients that are giving us such brief, and we have gone to work round the clock, and at the end of the day, they never need such position, or they will tell us that they now sought for it internally, or they put it on hold, and it has been put on hold for 5 years. But the truth is that we won't still say because we have experienced such, then for every other client we assume such. All right, because for us, when we don't even close the role, we don't get paid. Okay, so for you as an employee, you get those memo, you get those backlash. What will keep you excited, motivated, keep you going on the job? I just want to give you some insight. All right, number one, if you have a number of roles, I mean not just one role to close. Okay, so don't punish or be hard on yourself to stick to one role because it can be frustrating. How do I mean? You want to close like 5 roles and you are working on one and you are getting frustrated because you are unable to fill in the gap. Try to switch roles. How do I mean? Try, because when it's like you are doing same job every day, okay, there may not be too much excitement. So it's left for you to see how you can create the excitement around yourself. So try to look look to other aspects or other roles, okay? In fact, you know what, for you as a recruiter, even for us too as agency, as consultant, we are happy. Our joy moment is when they said they've done interview, they find the candidate fit, and they've given them employment letter, and then they said the candidate, when we hear you have given them employment letter, we feel relief. Then what we do is to say congratulations to our client, our candidates. Our client, as well, like I said, the candidates are also our clients. So we said congratulations message to them, and we now try to manage that process for them to even actually get the job. Because you see candidate that will pick up the employment letter and never pick up the job, and then what, you know what, the backlash come back to us as a consultant as if we are the one that said they should not join. So we are relieved, but we know the job is not yet done. So until when the candidate join, fully resume, that's when we can celebrate, because that's when we are even sure that money will come in for us. All right, but beyond the fact money will come in, at least we want to be reducing our pressure. So for us as an agency, as a consultant, we work with different category of businesses, from telecom to manufacturing, FMCG, to pharmaceutical, to telecom, to real estate. We work with diverse. So for us, we may not be too bored. We may not be too free, exhausted. But for you that work in an organization and you work in a recruitment department, that probably, I mean, same thing. Like I said earlier, try, if you have multiple roles, work on different roles per time. It makes it to be a bit of interesting to you. All right, then change your approach to how you do your recruitment. Don't just shortlist or sorting CV. Sometimes it gets to you as a mental challenge. All right, so once you have sort CV, leave it, go on other approaches to also use some other approaches. That helps you and make it a bit interesting and create some fun around it. Okay, and then if you are such, because I will talk about that, like I said, in the next session. If you are such that even do interview, all right, that's another one. That one can be another exhausting moment and frustrating moment. You know what one of my clients says to me? He said, Mr. Ayo, why are you wasting your time and wasting my time? And you know, interesting, my friend, my client is an Indian guy. You know how we do it? We just say, Mr. Ayo, why are you wasting your time, wasting my time? Why are you wasting? I say, Mr. Sai, I'm not wasting your time. I'm not wasting my time. That's the truth. I'm not. But honestly speaking, it appears that because when you are not closing it, you are not closing it. Okay, so create some fun. Create some fun around the job. Recruitment can be very tense, can build pressure, and you will get a memo from different departments. This role has been there for a long time. They've not closed it. All right, and let me say this again to you. See, One other thing we do as agency is that let me use the word subcontract the job out. So we look for other people that can help us close it, and we pay them some money. So for you as an employee, and I've seen it happen before, leverage on your friends. Tell them to help you. Because recruitment can be frustrating. And if you don't want to lose your job, you must be on top of your game. So sometimes, leverage on your circle of friends. Leverage on your professional circles. Belong to one. Okay? Because ultimately, if there's no result, there's no result. So if you must get result, you must go everywhere to get your result. Okay, so these are very important things you must do, because it is only when you are together as a person, when the vibes, when you are able to get yourself balanced, when you are able to get your mental health balance and get your the spirit, okay, revitalized, or you get your vibes together, you can do so much. Recruitment is a hard work. Honestly speaking, I don't do so much now. It's my colleagues that do it. I run from it, but it's interesting, and the money can be sweet. You know, when you recruit just one candidate and then they pay you 1 million naira, you know you will dance. But when you don't recruit, when you are unable to get income, the frustration can be another thing. But one thing I can tell you is that if you will get it right from the beginning, I can assure you that it won't be too tough in closing it. And then the last thing I will leave it to you is that what must you do? Number one, you must concentrate. Recruitment is not just one of those jobs you want to do and say, and get distracted. It requires some level of attention. That's how it works for me. Because it's a bit psychological. You want to use information that you can get about people to determine whether they are good and qualified. So it's not just one of those professional career or job you want to do and then get too distracted or carried away or mix so many things to it. So you need to get that right. You need to pay attention. You need to give I want to close this role, and you want to work on it for 1 hour. Do that. See, pay attention and then close it. But if you want to create a lot of distraction around you and not concentrating on it, I'm telling you the honest truth, you will miss it. Because ultimately, you will not be able to close it on time, and it will affect other things. And that's the reason why it appears to your superior, to your manager, to your organization that you look like you are not serious. Okay? And again, don't see it as a punishment career or a career that does not have future. I told you, I have seen people that they've done it all their life and they are super specialists. So you see, for some of us HR, we always want to refer to ourselves as generalists. And when you ask them, how much of recruitment have you done? You find somebody, I've not done it. It's not, they see it as not one of those. It's very important. Forever, even if you become an MD organization, you're still going to do recruitment. So, but when you have the mastery, when you have the insight, it helps you to get more results, and then you can be sure that you can also make more money. And then, you know what? Let me tell you this one. You can make money, even as a part-time recruiter. Yes. Because for people like us, we need people that can say, work, and we give a certain percentage of whatever the recruitment fee is. So that because we have enough to do. I can tell you for free that I'm speaking to you, in our organization, we have not less than about 100 positions that we are having sleepless nights to do. All right? And not because we don't know what to do, we are doing it. But you know what, again, I did some publications some time back in Punch, and I still stand by it, that there are a lot of jobs in Nigeria. The challenge we have as recruiters is that we don't have enough fitted people or enough fit people. We don't have enough qualified people to fit those roles. So when people say there's no job, I say it's a lie, there are jobs. But we don't have enough people that fit into those jobs. And you know what causes those things? A lot of reasons. Not only experience. People naturally, they also want to grow themselves. They don't want to develop themselves. Everybody wants to collect the biggest pay. But how many of such people have taken time to develop themselves? You see people jumping from organization to organization, and at the end of the day, they will tell you they spent 10 years. Ask them about that 10 years. What is the core? When we ask for hands-on experience, when we ask for, there's English we use as HR, cognate experience. It's not there. They just have a bit of everything. They don't have that deep. And then by the time you present them to the client and they ask one or two technical questions, they miss it up. So that is why we have such gap. So again, I think I can only do this much, and I hope I'll be able to convince you that recruitment can be fun when you do it with a lot of understanding and introduce a lot of dynamism into it, and you are able to close it, on a good note. I hope I've not confused you, okay, but I've been able to share some insight. So I'm open for a question now, all right, so that then we can begin to wrap it up, because the class is supposed to close by 1:30. I intend to do this for 1 hour and yeah, so that we can go back to our work. All right, so if we have questions, I can take your question right now. Thank you so much.